all set again?
Yeah, we're good to go.
So was it on Hartel Road that you got Fritz, the little puppy?
No, when we were on Coles.
That was when you were on Kohl's? Okay, wow.
They had a pup or something, I don't remember the whole story. And Schaefer's over on Hartel, or, come on, Breen,
Vermontville.
Vermontville Road. If he thought he could make money doing anything, he would. He bought a dog and it had pups and he was selling the pups. You'd have to ask somebody else whether they gave $5 or $10 for it, I don't know. But Pam was little when we went there. She was in kindergarten. And she went out by where they had it and that dog ran right up to her, so that was the beginning of it. And they were raising it on the back porch there. And it, oh God, it probably wasn't much bigger than that. Thought I'd take it down to the barn, because we lived in the tenant house and there was 80 rods between the house and barn. I couldn't believe it. I took it down there and letting the cows out of the stanch, and they'll back out to the alley and then they'll walk out. Well, some of them will screw around. I was doing it, and of course Harold had a big border collie, or collie. Can't remember what his name was now. Was there. Anyway, I let this cow out. She was a little bit on the excitable part. And Fritz goes up and grabs its hind leg and it kicked him down the alley like you couldn't believe. Rolling it. He got up and I let the next one out. He went up. And I thought, you dumb bunny. He grabbed it and laid down like that, and the cow kicked, and when she got her foot back on the cement, he grabbed it the second time, and you ought to have seen that cow run out of the barn. And I go, if you learn that fast, there ain't any problem. And from that day on, he had control of the cows.
Well, he took one rolling pulley down the alley.
I mean, to think a pup that small could get abused that bad and was smart enough to come back. I mean, when I seen what it was doing, I'm like, are you stupid? It had it figured out, and geez, see, that was been in 1960, and I think, well, it was the year they ice-palled it. Hartel Road, and we left in 75, so I was in 74. So that dog was 14 years old, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I knew it couldn't hear anymore, and I know what happened. They had one lane done, clear down to Hartel Road, or come on, Hartel Road, clear down to Island Road, and the second one quit right by the driveway, and then it rained and they couldn't do anything because they didn't put in a good base until that ground got dry. And they were parking all their equipment in the yard south of the house there for the guys that was doing the road construction. And he came in the barn. I was still milking, and he said, your old dog got hit out there, you want me to bury it? And I said, no. I said, he's been a good dog, I'll bury it. So I buried it in the garden there. That was good digging. And it was real plain. Him and what was the big one's name?
Teddy?
Teddy. They go down by the pond and do their job every morning. You never seen any dog poop in the yard. And they were coming back, and it was real plain. He didn't hear the car, you know what I mean, and they were walking on the asphalt, and the car ain't gonna drive in the mud. And the other one got out of the way, so you know, couldn't say nothing bad.
Now Teddy was a drop-off, right?
Yeah, the third one in 3 days.
What? That's wild.
Well, it was a half a mile to the, well, we was in the middle of the mile. You had to go a half a mile each way before there was any other houses, you know. So evidently these pups are getting too big, you know. They thought they would be cute, you know, and they're beyond being cute, you know. Well, there's a dairy farm, so, and I went out, and they were in the dooryard in the morning when I went out to do chores. So somebody dumped them out at night. And being what Fritz was, probably took right to it, you know, and took them in the barn where it was decent, you know, or whatever. And so 2 days in a row, it started barking, and Bonnie come to the back door and I said, call the dog pond. She did. And when Teddy showed up, boy, he was so aggressive you couldn't believe the fact of he wouldn't let you get up to him, but it's like, it's my place, you don't belong here, I've been here and you just showed up, you know. And man, and all the kids started coming out of the house in their pajamas, you know what I mean, when they hear all the dogs, oh no, no. And so they kept it.
He mellowed out pretty fast, though, must be.
Oh, he was a good dog. They, as soon as all the kids showed up, I think it makes a lot of difference, you know. And they had all the milk they wanted to drink. I mean, can you imagine feeding 2 dogs and 17 cats in the same dish? The oldest dog, Fritz, would drink what milk he wanted, then Teddy would drink what he wanted, and then the cats had a pecking system, and they would drink what milk they wanted.
Yeah, I know Felix around the house has been none too pleased about the kittens. He's really trying to keep them in line, and we just had them fixed, so they both got cones on. So seeing them amble up, you know, slaying back and forth, and he's jumped out of my arms a couple of times because he didn't want to look at him while he's having like cuddle time with me. So I'll pick him up because he meows at me, and then one will come along because he heard the other cat making noise, then press his paw right in the center of my chest, dig a claw in and leap off. And I won't know there's one there until
Makes those noises.
yeah, just like awful groaning noises. He just is not sharing the space. I've been jokingly using my therapy speak with him. Felix, what are you failing to accept?
So, the last dog that I remember that we had before I moved out was Sparky. So he's my idealist of dog. So we got him. You don't remember?
Well, when it comes, we had another one for about a year or something, and it was aggressive to a degree if it didn't like you. And that guy that run up and down the road there, I think probably got chased or bit with him, because it ended up, there was a little slough of snow, and the tire tracks come right in the yard and run over the dog laying in the yard. And so, you know, what are you gonna say? And then we got,
Sparky.
where'd he come from?
We went out someplace on the other side of Charlotte, and the guy had 2 puppies.
Oh!
I
Yeah,
don't know who the guy was.
yeah. I know, and I'll think about, I guess I'll have to get a plat book out. You would laugh. I mean, there was 2 dogs there in the kitchen. You can have either one you want, but that's ours.
And we were okay with that.
TSC's a farm store, and we're in there, and I run into this guy. I'll find his name pretty soon. And we're in line to pay, and and we're talking, and the clerk says, "Can't you guys move?" And this old guy says, "We got dogs that are brothers." I had to laugh. What crit? No, that you gotta have to get them.
Can't think of it. So Sparky was a very good cow dog.
Oh, unreal.
And when you decided to get rid of the bull,
He just had natural abilities to handle cows. I mean, it was unreal. And we had bred artificial for a long time, but we had too many cows. And to breed artificial, you gotta catch them in heat at the right time. And the way the barn and barnyard was shaped, somebody basically had to sit there and watch, and we didn't have anybody to sit there and watch, so I started using bulls. And most generally it ain't too bad. We had one awful good one that, what'd that bull weigh, 2,400? When we shipped him, you couldn't see over his back, he was that big. And what I would do when I got the bull, they'd weigh about 800 pounds. I'd put them in the holding pen. I never talked to the dog when we were in the barnyard with the cows, because if you get mad, your voice changes and the dog is confused. He doesn't know what you want. I did it all with hand signals. And so, or I would just call the dog's name. And when they hear the dog's name, they know they're in trouble.
the bull.
And so I'd get in the pen until that bull would respect the dog's name. I didn't stop the dog from working the bull. That's chewing on his hind legs.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically didn't have any trouble. So this bull is old enough that his heifers are big enough to breed, and you can't breed the father to the daughter. You gotta.
Oh, right.
And so I know a guy that was drawing semen on bulls, and so I asked him, because I had never put a ring in the bull's nose. I had never had a problem with the bull. And about drawing semen on him. And he says, "How big is he?" And I said, "I can't see over his back." He said, "You get him the sale barn next sale." And that would have been on a Monday. He said, and I looked at him and like, what? So he said, I said, "Well, he ain't causing any problems." I said, "You ain't even," he says, "You don't know how fast when that bull turns, he's gonna get violent." He said, "I was to a funeral last week for a guy I know as well as I know you, and he had a bull like that, and he's dead now. That bull turned like that and killed him." And he says, "I don't want to see you die." And so we put the bull in the holding pen and called the trucker, and oh, that dog got so, he just, I said, "What's the matter?" And he looks me right in the eye. I said, "You want to get him one more time?" he grabbed that bull by the hind leg, and it's the floor. It's a cement floor and a holding pin, and it's wet. And animal's hoof on wet cement, they can't do much. And the bull split right out.
Oh,
And the dog jumped on his back where that hump is, and he was chewing on that hump like you couldn't believe. And that bull's, and he's bawling so screaming loud you can't believe it. And I slapped my leg like that. Fritz came, no, it wasn't Fritz.
Sparky.
Sparky came right over and sat right by me. And I petted him. It's a good job. And that bull finally, he got his bearing, got up, and we left him, you know. And so the trucker come, and so all we had to do was open gates to run him to load him in the trailer. You could have seen that bull run out of there. And I said to myself, to the bull, you're getting away from the dog, but you're going to get your head cut off, you know. But that was, to me, the ability of a dog, so unreal. It can drop a bull that size. I don't know, what would dogs weigh, 60 pounds, 70?
Maybe. I don't feel like Sparky was all that big even when he was full grown, but he might have been.
But
they just seem to have a knowledge of where to apply what force they can generate out of that little body.
I mean, what I've seen with livestock and dogs, I mean, they save me so many steps that is unreal. And I knew an awful lot of people, they had, you know, some kind of a pet dog. If you're going to have a dog and feed it, have something that's going to help you, save you some steps. I mean, but whatever you want to call it. Been a long time, ain't it?
Kinda has, yeah. So we probably got Sparky in 86, and I think he passed in 97, 98 maybe.
Because that last dog that we got from Bosworth, remember,
Patch?
is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
That was a sad story. They, I have no idea how many Amish are around here, do you?
There's a lot. And on the other side of Charlotte, there's a lot.
Enough that I'm seeing Amish furniture store billboards for a good little minute there.
They're awful tough with raising their kids. Their kids got a toe the line. I mean, it's fun. They have an auction every spring and fall of consignment stuff over there. And the two auctions we've had them for auctioneers, and as far as I'm concerned, they're better than the native people that's families that have always lived here that's auctioneers, because they have a different manner of doing things. And these guys today, they want to sell everything on the internet, you know what I mean? I like going to an auction sale and talking to people. And well, the auctioneers that sell on the internet charge 10% of what a product brings. What was it, 4 or 5% they charged us?
I can't remember exactly, but it sounds right.
About half. And what, if you buy something on the internet, whatever you last bid is, they add 10% to it. And that's what you gotta pay for that when you pick it up then.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's crazy. When the Amish sell you something, whatever your bid is, that's what you pay for it. And I paid the commission instead of the buyer paying the commission. And to me, that makes me, I don't know, feel better about the whole program.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And they've, I don't know, I've just been happy with the way, and it tickles me, they have a consignment sale in the spring and fall, and I like to go there, just for the people you run into. But Printer Amish kids knows me by name, and I don't have a clue what their name is.
It's good to see you too. You.
I'll go, how's it going, or something like that, you know. But, I don't know. That's why the country's the way it is. Everybody thinks different.
Yeah, that's putting it on. But I know, like, when we were covering civics and like getting to know the differences between the Democratic and Republican parties, it seemed more nuanced then as a child. And like, oh wow, this is really important information. I should really think about this and weigh my options. And it's gotten so tribal lately, where you got folks just doing stuff to make the other team mad. It's just so like thoughtless and on site.
Changed a lot in the last.
It's all culture war stuff now. I can't remember the last time I heard somebody talk economics.
All right. So out of all the tractors that you ever bought, other than the 450, would you say that your barn find of that one that had sat there for 25 years was your favorite?
No.
Which one was your favorite?
I bought it down by Indianapolis, Indiana, a Cox Shop 50, and Bush's there in Macon had a 40 and a 50. And I just had so much respect for way them tractors, and I had so much fun with that Cox Shop 50, it'd blow your mind. I could take any tractor, pull in second gear, and end up I'd spin out, and then in the heaviest class, and I couldn't keep my mouth shut. And the kid there in TSC, one day he said, I hear you got a Cox Shop 50. Yeah. I'll come out after work, and okay. It was over to Mike's, and I went over, and every tractor starts different. I got on, started it up, and he got on and drove it around and backed it back in the barn there. And I thought and I'm learning. I thought I was smart enough that I could make it high enough to, that kid won't buy that, you know what I mean? So, and we had talked price before he ever drove or anything, and I gave $2,700 for it, and I asked $47 for it. And we're walking back to the truck because it was over to Mike's, and he says, well, I'll have to go to the bank and put some money in the bank to write a check. And I'm going, no, don't do that. If you're going to put money in there, just bring the money. And he did, and I was so mad that I just, why didn't you keep your mouth, And I wouldn't go in TSC then, I was so mad. And I needed something one day, and so I went in there, and I had to change. You've never seen anybody so happy in your life. He seen me half the distance of the store, he come up and, oh boy. His dad and grandpa bought a new one back when they made them. And his grandpa was still alive, and he was out on the front porch on a swing. And when I got that home, I drove it over in front of Grandpa, and what do you think of that? Well, I knew what that kid felt like then, Okay, you had more fun with that than I've had with it. So that's what I had to accept out of the money. Wasn't the thing or anything else. And the odds of finding one of them was so slim, and when you figure how far down just north of Indianapolis is, the guy he was over 90 years old, owned the local elevator, so you didn't have to say anything else. You don't remember how big Bridgewater was, do you? Might be 150 people live there. And he owned the elevator right in the middle of the town. And evidently his kids or somebody made the decision, we gotta sell some stuff, you know. He probably had over 50 tractors down there. And the whole town, between the sidewalk and the street, there was farming equipment that belonged. You just had to laugh, you know. Well, they made a 35, which was a smaller tractor, and they didn't make that many, and that's what, it was ahead of this 50. And I kind of wanted it, and I didn't even get to bid on it, just like that, and it's more money than I'd get for it, you know. And they get up there, and nobody seemed to be that interested in that 50, and I got it bought. I couldn't believe it. And so I went back to pick it up, and it wouldn't start. And, well, he had a shop, and they pulled it over to the shop, and got it running, and loaded it, and the whole dumb thing, and I always thought it'd be fun to go back down there and see. The old guy's probably dead by now for as many years ago as that was. But, you know, I mean, no, the 450, I can't come kick on that. I've got a lot of tractors, you know, what are you gonna say?
So one of the first stories you told was about them digging out the basement at the other
Oh,
place
yeah, with Grandpa's WC.
with a radiator, and you think you saw that tractor later on, right?
Where I brought that. That was down in Ohio. Mike and I was down there, pretty near everything was Alice Chalmers, and he's still alive because I run into him to an auction sale not very long ago, and that's what his family told him back. Geez, I don't know how many years ago that was now. And so Mike and I was looking at stuff. They had better than 5 acres of machinery there. And I've never seen another radiator like that one on Grandpa's. And it was unstyled and had starter and lights on, and Grandpa got the dealer in Tecumseh after the war to do that for him because he was having trouble cranking it. And I just had to smile. I told Mike, and so we're out there looking at machinery, and somebody's hollering. They had 5 wagons of junk or whatever you want to call it. They were selling forever. And we got up there and they just sold that Alice Chalmers WC for, I think it was $870 or $75 or something like that, you know. And I go, holy crap. So they had an M there on steel. And I made up my mind, whoever buys that sucker's gonna pay for it now. And I got it bought. And I don't remember, I think it was $1,200 I gave for it. And I didn't want steel wheels no more than the man in the moon. That was, so they sold the next tractor, and the auctioneers, his dad owned part of Archibald, and he used to work in Archibald, and then he went through a divorce and there was some problems and they threw him out. And I had run into him a couple times, and him and I never hitched, and when I seen him at the sale to begin with, I was cautious, or whatever you want to call it. So he sold the next tractor, and then I stepped up to because they had a trailer, and he goes, "What's the matter with you?" or something to that effect. And I said, "I don't want the steel wheels. Maybe the contending bidder would be interested." And he said, "Fine." And I couldn't believe the speech he gave. Man doesn't want steel wheels, and we'll offer him and see if he'll be happy. And I thought, you know, and I didn't make a move, and I think he got $875 or something. He didn't. I said, let them go. And I had enough stuff at home. I took down there, I got that in the 3-bottom plow there. In the 3-bottom plow, I had parts enough to make it into a 4-bottom plow. And that guy that runs a tractor show down to Bellevue, well, what's it, 2 years ago now we had the sale? Before the sale, he came and wanted that 4-bottom plow. He knew I had it, but he didn't want to give me what I wanted, and that's it. I think I got $400 out of it. And so he participated in the show at Bellevue. But some way last year, he got control of running it. And in the first thing, I run into him someplace, and he says, I want you to bring your pickup down there. I said, they would never let me show it. Them aren't running it anymore, I'm running it. I want everybody to see that pickup. Because I parked it way down the street there, and he's just a nice guy. He's a shoemaker. This is his last name. I think there was one in Donnie's grade. Whether he would have been a younger one, whether they're all brothers south of town there, I don't know. But they're nice people. Hey, I don't know. I've tried to. I bought and sold quite a few between the two auction sales. Every once in a while, one will come in my head. I don't know. To me, that's fun.
That's good. I think we're probably done, Alex. I probably want to get home today.
That's fine. What was I gonna do otherwise?